Welcome to our Devos, and we're going to land this plane on Mark chapter 9 with progressive deliverance, true humility, and extreme measures. Let's talk about extreme measures. I've preached about this, and it's bearing repeating. This is going to be on the shorter side because this is actually the most simple of the things. In your desire to flee from sin, take extreme measures to avoid sin. Mark chapter 9, verse 42, he says, whosoever causes one of these little ones, that's not children, that's disciples. John refers to the disciples and followers of Christ as little ones at times as well. Whoever causes someone to sin, it will be better for him to have a great millstone hung around his neck and he were thrown into the sea. So this whole section is Jesus using hyperbolic language, exaggerated language. This is completely common to make a point. He's saying that you don't ever want to cause somebody to sin. It would be better that you have a millstone thrown around your neck than should you lead somebody into sin. And then he says in verse 43 through 47, this is where some atheists, I heard an atheist on a podcast one time arguing about how God is really promoting self-mutilation. That's not true. Jesus said, if your hand causes you to sin, cut it off. It is better for you to enter life crippled than with two hands to go to hell, to the unquenchable fire. And if your foot causes you to sin, cut it off. It is better for you to enter life lame than with 2 feet and be thrown into hell. And if your eye causes you to sin, tear it out. It is better for you to enter the kingdom of God with one eye than with 2 eyes to be thrown into hell. As you're looking at this, you're going to say, oh my goodness, Jesus wants me to mutilate myself. Because I struggle with temptation. I struggle with lust. I struggle with using my hands to do sinful things, steal, to hurt people, all those things. How in the world am I going to live up to this? What he is meaning by this is to take extreme measures. This is not the only place where God uses hyperbolic language. Remember what he says, if anyone, and I talked about this before in a Sunday sermon, he says, if anyone does not hate their father and mother, they do not bear the title worthy of being called my disciple. Now, does that really mean you despise your family? No. Remember, this is Jesus who says that the way people are going to know that you're mine is your love for one another. What he's saying is, it's in comparison. He says, if your love for me does not make all the love that you have for other people around you look like hatred, you don't love me. So comparatively, what is he saying? That you ought to love me more than anything in this world, anybody in your life. And that is true. So the same is for here. If you are being tempted to sin, how do you get over sin? If you are struggling with a particular temptation, what you ought to do is take extreme measures. This is why we have things like filters that we put on our phones and our entertainment systems. This is why we have Covenant Eyes that documents all your website searches. This is why we have groups of friends that we're around that when we can call them, we say, look, I'm struggling. I'm about to go and do something I shouldn't. I'm about to go abuse drugs. I'm about to go look at porn. I'm about to go do these things. When we do that, we are taking extreme measures to cut sin out of our life. And it's going to look extreme, apparently, to those who are watching. So right now, whatever sin you have, what you are most likely doing when you are committing that sin is you have made a provision in your life to make it easy to commit that sin. This is why if you have an addiction, you can't hang out with the people that have that addiction. If you struggle with alcoholism, you can't go to happy hour. You're like, other people I know do. That's right, they're not you. They're not struggling the way that you're struggling. Jesus makes a strong statement. If there's something that's causing you to sin, you have to make an extreme cut in order to overcome that sin. This is how it works. So, in conclusion, whatever your sin is, whatever your poison happens to be, you have to take extreme measures to cut it out. And when you take those extreme measures, God will honor you by giving you the strength that you need to be able to withstand that temptation because you have made extreme measures to remove yourself as far from it as possible.